has answered for that.
Imagine that is now taken away from you.
These are the faces of some of the biggest news stories in America.
We want justice!
Where's the compassion?
They need to think about what happened.
Stay in there! George Floyd!
Faces that over time faded from the headlines as attention turned elsewhere. We just pulled up to a neighborhood that was one of the hardest hit. Now we're putting the spotlight back on them.
Picking up the pieces and going forward.
Each week, we're traveling to places home to major news stories you may remember.
Everything you work for, just all gone.
And introducing you to people who say it's important you get the full story.
When you have an understanding with a community, people come together.
We're here to support them in this crisis time.
Because we often don't fully learn the impact of an event.
All we have is hope, because everything else is gone.
Until we look at it in hindsight. We're in Superior, Colorado, which is about a half hour from Denver, and we just pulled up to a neighborhood that was one of the hardest hit from the Marshall Fire in 2021. You pull up to this neighborhood and you see a lot of homes being built, and you would think, not knowing what happened here, that this is just another new development that's being built, which is pretty common in Colorado. People may forget what made this wildfire so devastating is that it hit a suburban community. This isn't a place that's up in the mountains or a rural community far away where not a lot of people live. I mean, I actually want to show you this right here. This is a list of all the homes that were either damaged or destroyed from the Marshall Fire. More than 1,000 homes were destroyed. And this is on the Boulder County website. It's just a list that keeps going. When you think of all the people who were impacted because of the Marshall Fire.
1800, this is AMR 6.
1578 Spring Creek Drive.
Operate in a safe area. Do not commit if you cannot see. We are going to let the fire burn through and we'll work through the backside. If you need to move to a road and or other designated safe area, do so. Remain safe.
35,000 people evacuated the day of the Marshall Fire. Wind gusts were up to 115 miles per hour. More than 6,000 acres burned. Nearly 1,200 homes were damaged or destroyed. 1 year later, only one family had returned. Well, I guess Keith's first question, if it's okay, I mean, take me through, I know you were here the day of the fire. Just take me through what you experienced.
Nothing but bridge. The wind was blowing 115, and all you could see was dread and smoke. When I got the dogs out and everything, I left the house unlocked. I didn't even take time to lock it.
At what moment did you realize that you had to go? That it wasn't just...
When you couldn't see nothing.
You couldn't see anything?
No. Well, I had to just take a chance on getting out on the road. You couldn't see to get out on it. I just gave it gas and went.
Go towards Denver! Evacuate now!
Right now, it's okay. There's capacity.
Move now! Leave your stuff! Go! The fire's at the back! Go!
I'm still here.
I know, but I can't have you in here. We got flames out back. Sheriff's office, evacuate now!
Josh, focus right now.
Get these people out of here as fast as we can. So you don't have a car?
No.
Get in. Holy
I need more. Go.
Holy
Talk to me a little bit about the house that was here.
It was an old mining house. It started out as, I think, like 2 rooms or something like that, and then they added on as they went, and it was half this size. So we raised 4 kids in that house, that little 700 and some square foot house.
I know you lost your home in the fire, but what else did you lose?
Oh, all my, well, not my memories, but all my pictures, and for the most part, you know, we lost everything. We just lost everything.
That is? There was in a garage? There was a garage out back?
But it's always been in a garage.
It was right.
Always was.
I had a 24 by 40 garage.
What kind of car is that?
57 Ford.
57 Ford, wow. When did you get it?
Oh, 15 years ago.
15 years ago, something like that, yeah.
I just can't imagine like coming back and seeing, you know, the lot and your home, and I know it was small, but it meant a lot.
It was still home.
It was still home. Did you think that you would get to this point where you're sitting,
No.
you know, in that new home?
No.
How long did it feel to get to where we are now?
Well, we've only been in it for 2 months. Yeah, so it's still new. It's still new.
If you didn't know what happened here, you might not think twice about it because there's so much new development in this part of the country outside Denver. But every home that you see here in this neighborhood is brand new within the last 18 months because this is where the fire came through and just leveled every single structure.
I hate to report on it, to be honest, given the fact that there are probably people who live in those homes who are watching right now, watching their homes you know, become victims of this devastating and catastrophic wildfire that we've seen here in Boulder County.
We're in this neighborhood now and all these homes are being rebuilt. I mean, this was totally lost. Like emotionally in that moment, I mean, are you comprehending what's going on around you?
Yeah, you are, and it is emotional, and as a reporter, you know, you're sort of paid to be objective, right, and keep your emotion out of things, but at the same time, I live here, this is my community, and I'm watching it burn to the ground, and we watched as 1,000 homes burned here, you know, and then in the days following the fire, I mean, we find out that 92% of homeowners in this burn zone were underinsured, and that's also tough to report on because essentially what that means is they don't have enough insurance to rebuild at today's costs. Unfortunately, as a result of that, people have had to leave this community. They just can't, they simply can't afford to rebuild here. And then some want to leave, you know, they don't want to be a part of this. It's too painful for them.
There's 1, 2, 3 families. One moved to Arkansas and their land is up for sale. The other 2 don't have their land up for sale yet. The one said he's not moving out, and he's not going to rebuild, but he's going to hang on to his lot.
But then there are others like Della and Keith Gibson who live right here, and their resilience is amazing. It's this older couple, they're in their 70s and 80s, and they found a way to rebuild. They wanted to be here because they raised their kids here, and they want to grow old and die here. And so they found a way to rebuild, and they're back in their home just as of a couple months ago. So that's amazing, the resilience, but also there's still a lot of pain here as well.
So the Marshall Fire started about 4 or 5 miles that way, and it's just the wind that day. It was so strong, picked those flames up and carried them all the way down through this field. You actually see right here, this is a post that was here before the fire, still standing today, and here's some of the scorch marks you can see on the side of it. This is from the Marshall Fire, the flames continuing on and then hitting these neighborhoods you see behind us, and that's where all this construction is happening right now.
Every time we drive up and down the area, it's just, I want to be there, I want to live there, I want to be home. My name is Mel Glover, and I am rebuilding my home after the Marshall Fire.
.4631 and 2207. 4631 and 2207. Respond to Mohawk Circle.
way this fire came in, my husband describes it as being like an evil demon. I was trying to drive home. I got stuck on 36 in tail-to-tail traffic, total traffic jam, couldn't move. My family was screaming, and I could hear my children screaming and my husband shouting, and I hung up the phone on the car because I just couldn't listen to it any longer. The house was filled with smoke and on fire from 12:15 to 12:35 when they were rescued. And the whole neighborhood of 171 houses burned down in 2 hours. Neighbors were rescuing each other and everyone was rescuing themselves, and there were babies in diapers and people with no shoes and barely any clothes on that were running from the fire from this neighborhood.
Anything else I can do to help? Knock on the tone, helping people load cars? Anything else?
I'm going to be knocking on your neighbor's doors, and we'll find someone to give you a ride out of here. So you can give them a ride somewhere if you wanted to. I can't ask.
Hi, I don't suppose you have room in your car to help one of your neighbors out?
Oh, she can come in, yeah.
Help? Okay, thank you.
Oh, it's slow.
This is the one that gets me emotional. The people in this area, they held us up. They supported us, they clothed us, they fed us, they homed us.
It's a very tight-knit community. People are looking out for each other, sharing information. And I actually think that across the entire Marshall Fire, this neighborhood is how we've been able to get to where we are. They got builders, really focused on this neighborhood. We didn't realize is how important that was, since we thought they would just do this. The builders were already busy. We needed them to really lean in, and Sagamore helped do that. Because Sagamore said, hey, these are the specs. We want you to bid this out. We had like 4 or 5 builders come in and do that, and that got them going. Because quite honestly, I don't think if we had kicked them hard enough, that they would have seen this as a priority we needed it to be.
Neil Shaw was a trustee for the town of Superior at the time of the Marshall Fire. He's now the mayor pro tem. He's helping oversee the rebuilding process in several neighborhoods, including Sagamore and Old Town Superior, 2 areas completely lost in the fire.
I think some people might look at all the building and seeing the progress you've made and would say that the impact of the fire, that's kind of in the rear view. Is that how you see it? No, not at all. I think we lost about 400 homes. Only about 250 are in some stage of being rebuilt. The other 150, we don't know what they're thinking.
80% of homeowners said they had plans to rebuild in a survey from January 2023. The ones who didn't said cost and time were the biggest issues.
What are the biggest challenges Superior is facing right now? It's going to be affordability. These homes are relatively inexpensive, within Boulder County. There's one over there listed about $1.2 million. Before that, it would probably have been $600K. Oh, so it costs more now? Quite a bit more. I think people feel that the fire was a once in a lifetime event, and if it wasn't, they're building back hardier so that if there is another fire, the likelihood of surviving it may be higher.
We're trying to create something that's safe. When we were first allowed back to the property after the fire, which was totally shocking, you could never be prepared for the scene that was here. Total obliteration. Everything was just gone. I walked up to what was my front porch, and there were pyramids of dirt sitting on my front porch. The pot had totally burned, but there were these pyramids of dirt, and I thought to myself, that didn't burn. I need to build a house out of this. And I was driving down 93. I saw this sign that said Colorado Earth, and I thought, what is that? And I actually pulled over on the side of the road and Googled it immediately, and I was like, oh, it's earth block homes. This was the one that really sat for me because it was made of dirt and the dirt didn't burn. We wanted something that wouldn't burn because if something like this happens again, we want to have more time. And now I get to see the shape of the house now. It's bigger than I thought. And I'll admit that this house is definitely a trauma reaction of what's happened to my family in the fire, but I think it's the positive thing that's come out of the fire for us is to experience building a house like this. It's incredible.
Do you worry that Superior, especially with there's so many new homes being built, and I know they're more expensive than the ones that were here before, that will you miss the old neighborhood before the fire, even though you're in obviously a beautiful home now?
I will, but I won't because the neighbors moved back too. It's all our original neighbors, so we're lucky there that we've got the original neighbors for the most part. But I don't like looking out my window and seeing $2 million homes. They just don't seem like they belong here.
What do we know about how this fire started?
So the Sheriff's Department, the Boulder County Sheriff's Department came out with 2 separate causes earlier this year. One is a fire that was smoldering for about a week on an old ranch, the 12 Tribes Ranch, and it was kicked up by the wind that day. They say the winds were hurricane force that day. And so it was that fire, and then also an XL equipment failure or line down. We're really not sure, and neither is the Sheriff's Department, but they believe XL Energy, which is the main utility in the state of Colorado, they provide power to most of Coloradans. Their lines caused the fire as well. In fact, there's a text as part of the investigation from a lineman that says, hey, I think one of our lines caused this fire, and that was sent that day.
I know there's some lawsuits that are playing out. What are we learning through those lawsuits about who potentially could be held responsible for the start of this fire?
Yes, I think the lawsuits are interesting because the main one is a mass action lawsuit. You usually hear of class action lawsuits. A class action lawsuit pays out plaintiffs in a lump sum, and they each get a portion of that. A mass action lawsuit considers each plaintiff's damages, and then they're paid out individually based on what the courts assess their damages to be. XL Energy has come back and said, we don't have enough insurance to cover the hundreds of millions that it will cost if if the courts rule against us. But that's what's happening right now is there are multiple lawsuits, and most of them are targeting XL for this fire.
The Marshall Fire and other natural disasters are changing the way we insure our homes. Major companies have stopped covering homes in places like Colorado, Louisiana, California, and Florida, sometimes due to the threat of fire, other times due to threats like flooding or high wind.
This is a master bedroom.
Even those with insurance are not guaranteed peace of mind. The Gibson family didn't move into their new home until 15 months after the day they escaped the fire.
Insurance may cover some things, but there's always like a cost. I mean, has it been like financially difficult getting back to where, like how much coverage did you have?
With everything, had enough to pay for the house. But the rest of it, there's supposed to be money out there, but it's sure hard to get. You fill out forms and fill out forms and fill out forms, and we still haven't gotten some of it. We haven't had as much trouble as some people have, but we've got 2 kids that won't take no for an answer.
I'm close.
Well, you've got the mic.
Oh, here, go do what?
No, go ahead.
And you can guess who got this one. This is spare room, laundry room.
The entryway, tiny bathroom, tiny laundry room. We went from victims to survivors, and now we're like rebuilders. Yeah. And we're going to do a mosaic of the broken pieces of pottery on the windowsill right here, which I'm really excited about doing, and make something beautiful out of something that was broken. There's quite a few lessons learned, having different priorities in life, of putting value on different things now.
How often do you think about that day?
Oh, I think about it often. It's like I said, we're part of this community too. And I remember my family and friends, I must have had, 30 texts every hour saying, be safe out there, we're watching you. We appreciate the work you're doing. I feel a tremendous amount of grief for all those who have lost their homes tonight, and I hope they have a safe place to stay tonight, and we just hope that they heeded the warning. What's amazing about this fire is only 2 people died, which is tragic, but it's also amazing that that many people got out alive when you think about 1,000 plus homes that burned to the ground. But the reason why we continue to report on this and the reason why it's important is because these folks matter, and their pain matters, and their financial hardship matters, and the accountability of the ones who are responsible for this also matters.
So in hindsight, I would say that you're not alone, that there's always someone that's gone through what you're going through. There's always some kind of support that you can receive, and that you can change things and you can do things to help yourself and to move forwards.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. I was just telling these guys like you're one of my favorites.
You are one of mine too.
Oh, man. I'm so glad you guys are doing good.